Are you ready?
Yeah. Don't know if to have a piss.
You can have a piss if you want.
Yeah, I'll have a piss. And
Go
then
on.
we'll start.
Go on, boy. Go drain it.
What?
Just go.
Welcome to Drum and Drummer, a podcast focused on drums, drumming and drummers. I'm George Pickering and that's Ben Winty, and we are both professional drummers in this business we call music. So stick around and join us as we pass the time whilst trying to stay in time.
I just love whittling. If anything, I'm a whittler. You know?
Let's rock. Okay.
How was your piss?
Yeah, good. Good.
Textbook?
Classic piss. Yeah, nothing to report.
Any Mickey drips?
What?
Mickey drips?
What's that?
I think Tom Davis calls them Mickey drips. You do your wee.
Yeah.
And then you pop the old fella back in the pants.
Big time.
Dribble.
Yeah. Sometimes it's more than a bit of dribble. Do you ever, especially if you're drunk and you go, I pissed myself. I've essentially pissed myself in spoons.
Welcome to Drum and Drummer.
Yep. Welcome. I had more piss talk to get through.
Okay, we can...
Probably forget full piss. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm trying to think, like, are there any pisses you remember in your life? I've got a few. It's mainly when I really need to go.
Yeah.
Bit like after Arctic Monkeys. And most of them...
There's a train involved. Yeah, mine is a train. Waiting for a train at Liverpool Street Station. Thinking, I think my kidneys are going to explode.
The pain is something else. Like, it's such a specific pain.
I'd rather
I need
die.
a wee, but
like someone could just end this by shooting me in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't it weird that your body still keeps it in? Your body doesn't just give up. Doesn't just go, do you know what? This needs to come out, so there you go. Deal with that. Whilst at Clapham Junction on platform 12, you know.
I think maybe when you get older it does.
Yeah, I think
then it goes, I ain't got the muscle retention anymore to keep that dam blocked up.
Yeah,
you're just going to go.
Yeah, the beavers have given up making the dam in the walls.
The beavers are dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always used to have, I don't know if you had the same, George, I used to get the bus to school.
A train for me, but carry on.
And I'd sort of just trained my body to not go for a piss at school.
Really?
Yeah. I sort of trained it. And then I'd get the bus home, and then from that walk just round the corner and then up my road, Sandy Lane.
Yeah.
Then my body would go, toilet's nearby, innit?
Yeah.
And then it would all just suddenly be like, now you need a piss.
Yep.
And then you're getting your key out, and it's like, now you fucking really need a piss.
Yeah.
It's like the body knows just through that door is a toilet. But just do it once I'm through the door.
Yeah.
Why does it do it? And then like trying to get you the right key.
Yeah.
When you're desperate for a piss.
Yeah.
But at that sort of training.
It's it. It's your body sees the house and goes, oh, we're home. And you're like, no, we're not. We're not.
We're not. Yeah.
It's still. And also, if I piss myself now, this would be the most embarrassing time. Because what if a neighbour sees, you know? What if a neighbour sees just lose all control? Yeah, I thought we were going to get off the piss topic, but then you brought it back in with you pissing at school.
Yeah, but, just I think you can sort of train your body.
Yeah. With
those sorts of things, and the body finds its system, and it can ebb and flow.
Yep.
With your regularity. With the other deposits you make.
Yep.
And for me, there's the morning. And then on gig day, for some reason, 8 o'clock.
Really?
I always need a shit. 8 p.m. Usually just before we're going to play.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bit of adrenaline, a bit of that sort of thing. But not on another day, not when I'm working at the studio. Gig day, you need a shit at 8 o'clock. Anyway, episode 85.
Welcome to
We're here joining you on Thursday morning.
Isn't that the year you were born?
It is the year I was born,
there you go. Yeah.
It's 1985.
Wow. 40 in 2 years.
Yeah, all right.
I'm 30 next year.
Yeah.
30 next year. That's mental, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, you know. then we can finally do that joke of we're both in our 30s.
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about today? I've got some bits.
Okay. Well, let's go to these bits then.
Yeah.
I believe
Yeah.
one of your bits is about sticks. Do you want to start with sticks?
Should we start with sticks? Well, I was seen as last week. You did such good research.
Thank you, George.
Like flawless. Brilliant. Could have been made up. I don't know. I didn't look into whether Sabian was
there's been no fact checking.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was just off the dome. So, like, I sort of read it and then then talked about it.
Yeah.
Having read it once.
Yeah. Having read it from Reddit.
So if I got stuff wrong, sue me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I thought what could be interesting for drummers, but also the people that listen that aren't drummers, try and find a good middle ground, point. The meeting point and
being
the middle
desperate
ground.
for a piss is the apex of that.
That is.
In the Venn diagram, drummers, non-drummers, sweet spot in the middle, busting for a piss.
And because you've made it, it's a Venn diagram.
Hey, I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Don't you remember? I told that joke before when there was, and here's a good story. So it was me, you, Ben Otterson, and Ben Corner, and we were all getting ready for a gig. I think we had 3 different gigs. We were saying how we're all sort of similar but all different. So 3 of us were bald. Me, you, and Ben Corner. Ben Otterson, definitely not bald. Lovely head of hair on that man.
Yeah.
3 of us were, I can't remember, 3 of us were wearing boots or something, and then one of us wasn't. Yeah. And then
a different 3 were called Ben.
Yeah. That's obviously, which I somehow missed. And then someone said, it's like a Venn diagram. And I said, how about a Venn diagram? And then it was probably my most satisfying, hey, that's a good joke I've ever got. And I thought, I'll use that again someday. And that was the time. So anyway, sticks. I was thinking, well, we all know, drummers know of the Vic Firth stick made by Vic Firth. But I thought, how did that come about? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why did he make them? Why, was he like, I want to make some hard, fast cash. I'll cash in on the drumstick game. No, not quite. He was a drummer in the 50s and he was playing for, orchestras and things like that. But there wasn't any big stick brands. People would get sticks, but it wasn't like manufacturing big, stick companies. So you'd sort of just get them however you could. And he was like, I wish I could do more. I wish I could do different things. So he just started making his own sticks. So what he'd do is, in one way, is he'd get big, thick, marching drumsticks and just whittle them down himself and go, I'm going to whittle these down.
Yeah,
and then
lovely bit of whittling.
Yeah. And then I'm going to...
Who hasn't enjoyed a lovely bit of whittling from time to time?
Well, this is it. I've never whittled anything. Have you ever whittled something?
Every day. Every day I'm whittling.
You and Elliot, Joseph, just doing woodwork with your tops off. So anyway, he'd just whittle down marching sticks to different sizes and then be like, this is quite a good size. And then he'd go to a wood turner and be like, can you make this for me? Make the same size and whatever. And then he was a teacher as well, Vic Firth, and he'd play these gigs and do his lessons. And people would be like, that's good. It's a nice pair of sticks. Where'd you get them? He's like, I made them. I whittled them. And they were like, can you get me one? He was like, no, they're not for sale, actually. I'm just doing them for myself. And they were like, but, it's like, okay, I'll make a few for you. And then he just kept making them for people. But just because he was like, well, I know how to do it, I'll make them. And then someone called, I think the music shop was called Frank's in Chicago. Are you fact checking what I'm saying?
No, keep going. I was trying to do it subtly.
He was like,
just keep going. I am
light
listening.
on your face. There was a music shop in Chicago called Frank's, which was the place to get drum gear. Basically, the Graham Russells of Chicago. Shout out Graham Russell, come on the pod. And they called him and were like, look, everyone's talking about these sticks. Can you make them? and sell them to us. And he was like, no, I'm not doing that. He was like, look, well, we can sell them. We can do. I think he was sort of like, I'm not a stick maker. It's not.
Just leave me alone.
I'm just making
not a stick guy.
sticks. Yeah. And then
I just love whittling. If anything, I'm a whittler.
Yeah. If anything, I'm thinking of sacking in the drums and becoming a full-time whittler. But eventually, he went, okay, I will. Franks. No, he didn't say thanks, but with a lisp, he said Franks. I'm making up the dialogue.
Thanks very much.
That's a quote from the past. Vic Firth in 1963 said, "Thanks very much." So
as he walked off, whittling away down the road, whistling,
whistling and whittling. Thanks very much. Anyway, Frank started selling his sticks, and the rest is history. And that was in 1963. But I thought that was quite interesting, just the fact that when we grew up, sticks were just there. You go to Nevada or GAC, and there's just a shelf of sticks, and you go, shall I get Vic Firth or shall I get Promark or whatever? But no, once upon a time, it was hard to get these sticks. It was just like, well, maybe not hard, but trickier. And there weren't...
Didn't have Amazon. And there weren't specific, sticks for different needs. So if you wanted a different stick, you might have to whittle it yourself, you know. But yeah, I just thought that was quite interesting. But that started in 1963. And then sounds like he really didn't want to do it.
No, it does.
He was quite resistant.
I mean, that is me. That is coming from me. But yeah, I watched this video and it did seem like, he was just sort of just making sticks. Leave me alone. So, I don't care.
Now, what I was very rudely Googling, I tried to do it subtly.
Yeah.
And I wanted to fact check myself because, the primary wood used for drumsticks is...
oak?
No. Hickory.
Oh, okay.
Hickory dickory dock. And I remember years ago, because it says usually says like hickory on the drumstick. And I think I remember asking my drum teacher when I was a teenager, like, why? Or it might have even been because I think a couple of guys at school tried to make some drumsticks for me in DT class. And obviously they just didn't last at all.
Yeah.
But I was like, why are drumsticks made of hickory?
Mm.
Why that wood? Yeah. And I was just double checking my facts.
Yeah.
And it's just very shock absorbent.
Oh, okay.
It's a very shock absorbent wood.
Yeah. So if you tell it some bad news, it will be okay?
Yeah.
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 Drumstick, your nan's dead.
Fine.
Absorb that shock. No problem.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me know.
Thanks very much. One last fact about Vic Firth. He actually had a brother called Promark Firth. That was a throwback to last week's episode.
Yeah.
If you've started on this one.
He had a brother called Varta. Or Vater.
You've got some stick.
Well, yeah.
Stuff.
So, as we know, new cymbals, wasn't it?
Mm.
And I thought at the time I do need some new sticks.
Yep.
And I think I mentioned I've been a Vic Firth boy for a long time. 5As, basic bitch.
Yeah.
But I was like, do you know what? I'm going to have a little goosey at some other brands.
Mm.
So I purchased myself 3 pairs of sticks.
Yep.
3 different brands.
Mm-hmm.
But all 5As.
Got you.
I wanted all 5As. I gone for my big Vicky Firthy.
Classic.
Yeah. The Promarks.
Big time.
And the Vater.
Yep.
What do you say? How do you say
I
it?
don't know. I think I say Vater. Just because there's no R in it.
Let's go with that. Let's go with Vater.
Mm.
But you don't say...
I swear
water.
we've had this discussion.
I know, but you say water, don't you?
You do, yeah.
So anyway.
Scone or scone?
So I bought 3 pairs of sticks. So I got the Vic Firth American Classic 5As.
Yep.
The Promark, they're called Forward 5As. And I got the Vater Los Angeles 5As.
Yep.
All hickory.
Mm-hmm.
I think all made in the USA.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got my little kitchen scales out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like an absolute fucking nerd. But if that's my life now, it's fine. I've lived a good life. You know?
Yeah.
So I got this pair of kitchen little digital scales.
Yep.
I don't think they go detailed enough for what I was really looking for. But what I wanted to see was when you mentioned about 7As,
Yeah.
matching the pairs up yourself,
Yeah.
find their different weights. But I did weigh them as pairs, not the fruit, but as pairs. And for 5As, they all had quite different weights.
Right.
I'll run you down. What one do you want first?
Well, the first question I have is when you say different weights, do you mean between the brands or like within the pair of the brands?
So actually each stick within the pair weighed the same.
Okay, cool.
But I think I need to go to a tenth of a gram.
Yeah.
But these scales don't.
Yeah.
So if anyone out there wants to sort me out with I probably need like scales that like science users and that shit.
Yeah, or drug dealers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I weighed them. So individually they were the same within each pair.
Okay, cool.
So,
cool,
but
cool.
what I did, I weighed the total, the sum.
Yep.
Of each pair.
Yep.
Who came out lightest?
Right, I think I'm going to do the order in one go. I think Vater's lightest, then Vic Firth, then Promark heaviest.
Cool. I think you got that completely wrong.
Ah, that's a shame.
Oh, Vicky Firth, lightest.
Really?
Lightest. The combined weight of the pair was 94 grams.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that? 47 each.
Yeah.
Next heaviest, just a little bit heavier, the Promarks, 98 grams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that? 49 each.
Yeah.
And then the Vaters, the big boys, 110.
Really?
110 grams.
Jesus.
Yeah. And I took them on a gig a few weeks ago, and I was like, I'm going to play with a different pair.
Yeah.
And I think I played with the Promarks, so they're sort of medium. But it was interesting, actually, how, it's not a lot, a few gram, but made a big difference. Big difference in feel. I think I did a freshman year gig with the Promarks, and actually then just when I was sound checking, I was switching between the two, setting my kit. I was like, I'll just have get a Promark in my right hand, hit the snare, and get a Vic Firth. And you're like, oh yeah, no, it does. Vic Firths definitely feel a bit lighter.
Yeah.
But I did it with the gig with the Promarks, and it was all good. And then I think I did 2 gigs with them. But then weirdly, the last gig I did, I was like, I'll use the Promarks. And I was like, no, it doesn't feel right. And then I did the gig on the Vic Firths.
I wonder if any of that is, I don't know if the correct term is placebo, but if someone told you Vic Firth is the heaviest and then you went to the gig, would that feel heavier? I don't know.
Psychosomatic. Is that the phrase?
Yeah. Also a good band name.
But I even got Neil. I said to Neil, like, I gave him the lightest stick and the heaviest stick. And he was like, oh, that's a big difference. And I think, but potentially just a lot of it is you just get used to what you're playing with.
Yeah.
And you kind of get on with it.
This is it.
Really. So I've not used the Vater ones yet, but Vater.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because if Vater is generally a heavier stick, if it's 110 grams for a 5A, it could be heavier for a 7A than a Vic Firth is for a 5A, if that makes sense. So a smaller Vater stick could still be heavier than a bigger Vic Firth. Maybe it's just heavier wood, or I don't know. Even if it's hickory, might be a different... I don't know. What do they do with the tree afterwards? Do they soak it in something? I don't know. What they, It's like...
I'm just imagining, do you remember that Simpsons episode where they go bowling and the pins get knocked down and the machine picks them up?
Yeah.
And then rather than they just get recycled through, those pins get put in a big bin.
Yeah.
And it goes through the back of the bowling alley, and then they've got a machine out there that takes a tree.
Yeah.
And just whittles it down to one pin, and then they paint it and put the red stripe on, and then it goes. So I just imagine a big tree, and they just whittle it down to one drumstick.
Yeah. Or imagine if they just crushed it down to one drumstick. It's the densest, heaviest stick in the world. Well, I want to talk about something else. I've been doing some more research because I thought it's a drumming podcast.
Sure.
But what is a drum kit? You know? Let's find out.
I'm dying to know.
Yeah, that's where you play some music. It's like, let's find out. And then, do. I don't know. I can't think of music. How old do you reckon the drum kit is? I sort of said before we started.
I mean, 100 years old.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's kind of...
You had drums in the 20s, didn't you?
Yeah, it's a relatively new instrument in the grand scheme of things. You know, it's...
Well, I mean, yeah, the Earth is only 5,000 years old, so...
Exactly. But no, it came about, brief history of it, because I think it's quite interesting. So when an orchestra would play, you'd have percussion people, and one would be on the snare, one might be on a timpani or a bass drum or some big drum, someone else is on the cymbals.
You got the happy chap on the cymbals.
Yep, the monkey
loves that.
thing, that does a backflip. Yeah. It was all getting too hectic in the pit, in the orchestra pit. They were like, I wonder if we could get the percussion guy, just one percussion guy, to do a few things at once. So what they did in the
People are worried about AI taking our jobs. It's already happened.
It's already happened.
They trimming the workforce.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We've got 3 knobheads here. Can we just get one person to do it all?
Yeah. I don't like those 2, but he's all right. The one on the snare. Let's see if he can do everything else. So in the 1890s, they created the direct drive bass drum pedal. So
and that ties into what I said.
Go on.
About when I was informing the world about the difference between direct drive and chain drive.
However,
actually, the direct drive was invented ages ago. Cheers.
But there was a problem with this, right?
Oh, there's always a bloody problem.
Yeah. Do you want to know what it was?
Yes.
It wouldn't, when you played the bass drum with this new pedal, it wouldn't return to its resting position. So imagine...
It's a one-use pedal.
Yeah, so what you'd have to do is basically
50 pedals.
Yeah, you'd have to
roll the bass drum along. Bomb, bomb, but like then just each pedal, bomb, bomb, yeah.
No,
I can picture it in my head.
Yeah, stop picturing that because that's not correct. What you'd have to do is move your heel up the pedal and then move your heel back down to take it away from the drum, if that makes sense. Okay. So it didn't work. It worked, but it didn't really work.
Well, if you Velcroed your shoe to the pedal.
Well, did they have Velcro in the 1890s? I don't know.
Let's look up when Velcro was invented. And his brother, Zip. Velcro, of course, that's a brand name, isn't it? Much like Hoover.
Transit.
Auto-tune. Things that, people that don't. Velcro. 50s.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you couldn't do that.
50s. Founded by a Swiss man.
Called Hans Bricabrac.
Do you know what his first name was?
Go on. Adolf.
George.
Oh, good. Solid name. Right. Do you want to hear where the kick pedal went from there? Because this is interesting. William F. Ludwig made a patent.
Ludwig? I've heard that name before.
Yeah, big time. He made a patent for the first spring-driven bass drum pedal. So
he's popped a spring on it, hasn't he?
So there you go. He's popped a spring on it, and now it will come back. It'll bloody come. Yes. It won't just hit the drum. It will come back. And that was in 1909. So after that, after the success of that...
And it was a success.
It was a success. This is Stuart Copeland said that's where the drum kit originated, by the old springy kick drum pedal. So after that success, they made their first ever production drum kit. Consisted of a 12 by 3 inch snare, 24 by 8 bass drum, and then it had the pedal, as I mentioned, but it also had a little cymbal. You know that little cymbal you see on the bass drum, like in old, jazz videos from the 20s.
Yeah.
and then that evolved, and then other people started getting involved, like Gretsch and whoever else,
Paul Gretsch and
Premier,
Frank Pearl, and Tommy Yamaha.
Exactly.
All brothers.
Exactly.
All estranged brothers. All hated each other.
They had a dad that said, right, I have one secret and I'm going to tell each of you, but don't go off and start other companies. Don't do that. Anyway, the hi-hat was then invented in the 30s when drummers got an additional pedal with a spring-loaded hinge connected to 2 cymbals powered by a string and toe strap. And it was originally called a low boy. And it was
a low boy.
Low boy. And it was created by Lady Ludwig in 1928.
Bloody Ludwig again, isn't it?
This is it. And then after, basically Ludwig...
It's like Einstein.
ruled.
No, not... Who? Edison.
Yeah.
One of them. Da
The
Vinci.
man who invented electricity. Or was it... Which one was it? I'm thinking of The Simpsons again.
I think most of my knowledge comes from The Simpsons. Yeah. Who knows?
Let's just say I'm sitting in the right chair. But this is my last thing on the drums because I found this fascinating. So the modern snare, you might know this already, but I didn't know it, so I'm going to say it. Modern snare is similar to the ones of the American Revolution and Civil War. However, back then, they had no more than 6 lugs. They had no throw-off for the snare, so the snare's always on. You can't turn it off if a guitarist is tuning or whatever. And also, the snare wires, do you know what they were made from?
Children's dreams.
Close. Animal guts. Did you know this? This is fascinating. So it was something called cat gut, and it's not made from cat's guts. It's the intestinal tubes of a sheep.
Okay.
And, right, this is mental. They're washed, cut into ribbons, and scraped free of mucous membrane and circular muscle tissue. The ribbons are placed in an alkaline bath for several hours and then stretched on frames. While still moist, they are removed, sorted by size, and twisted into cords of varying thickness. A smoothing and polishing operation completed the process. And then that's how they made strings for stringed instruments before.
Yeah.
I had no idea, but that's what snare wires originally were. So
I knew they were used as strings on stuff, like violins and shit.
Yeah.
Cello, but I didn't know they were used for snare wires.
Hey, it's interesting, isn't it? So yeah. So that's what that was. But but that's how the kit came about, Just it was basically for necessity. Much like Vic Firth is going, God, I wish there was some sticks. Where am I going to find fucking sticks? Oh, I'll make one, It was like there was no plan to make a drum kit. It was just like there's 4 people doing that job, and we ain't got the money to pay 4 people. So let's just get one and give him a pedal that he has to move his foot on with Velcro. But Velcro's not invented. Anyway, that's the history of the drum kit.
And that's
You're welcome.
A complete guide.
Yeah.
A complete guide to the history of the drum kit.
Yep.
That's good. Yeah. Nice.
Thought do some research.
I mean,
because I've never researched anything for this pod.
I wonder when we switched from when because obviously drums skins used to be like animal skin and that.
Yeah.
I wonder when it moved to a synthetic
I don't know
material. Maybe we'll save that for another time.
Yeah. Just keep doing
more research.
Drum history.
Yeah. What animal makes the best skin?
That's a good question.
Don't try it at home.
No.
Do not.
No.
Cut up your animals and
definitely don't try it with a human. That'll do us, I reckon.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah.
But God, I
see Neil waltzing about somewhere. I left the door open.
I thought I hadn't pressed record on QuickTime then. I was looking at it like, is that going? But we're good.
Yeah, we're good. You gigging this weekend?
Yes. I can't remember where, but it's with Wildwood Sky, and I'm sure it'll be a delight. And then I got a rehearsal on Monday.
Boo!
Yeah. Will we get booed again? Got a rehearsal on Monday with Ren for a festival in July.
Festival?
Yeah. Jurassic Fields.
I thought you were going to say Jurassic Park.
Nah. Jurassic
Is it in
Fields.
Dorset?
It is in Dorset, and I've got a feeling, I don't
Because of
know.
the Jurassic Coast, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think
Dinosaurs.
we might be on just before the Hoosiers, or
Lovely.
at least a little bit before, because I don't know yet, because they haven't done the lineup in order. But the headliner on the Friday night when we're playing is the Hoosiers, and all that it says so far is we're playing main stage on Friday night, so we might be on before them. But either way, we'll be there in the day. And I think Laurie Miller's playing with his band Noble Jacks on the same night.
Oh,
so I'll go and watch him afterwards. So yeah, it should be a fun night out. So if anyone's in the Dorset area on July I can't remember, 14th, something like that, come down to Jurassic Fields. Do. Yeah.
There is Georgie boy playing lots of drums, hitting cymbals and the snare. Oh, he's Mr. Beat.
He's gone out
Can he
of
bring
time with the click track. Oh no.
He's fucked it up.
Bye.
See you next week.
Thank you for listening to Drum and Drummer. You can find us on Instagram at Drum and Drummer Podcast. And you can send us an email to drumanddrummerpod@gmail.com. Remember, just pick up the sticks and twat it.